Diagnosing a bad mechanical fuel pump. Mechanical fuel pumps may not be as common today with the newer electric ones, but if you're dealing with an older vehicle, you might still encounter them. Here's how you can diagnose if your mechanical fuel pump has gone bad. Visual inspection. Before diving in, it's always good to start with a basic visual inspection. Check for any fuel leaks around the pump or the connections. Look for any visible damage or wear and tear on the pump itself. Inspect the fuel lines for cracks or leaks. Pressure test. A reliable way to determine if your fuel pump is bad is by checking the fuel pressure. 1. Locate the fuel pump. On most older cars, the mechanical fuel pump is mounted on the engine block. 2. Attach a fuel pressure gauge. Connect the gauge to the outlet line of the fuel pump. 3. Crank the engine. Have someone start the engine or crank it for you while you observe the gauge. 4. Read the pressure. The pressure reading should match the specifications in your vehicle's service manual. If the pressure is below the recommended level, it's a strong indicator that your pump is failing. Volume test. Another test you can perform is the volume test. 1. Disconnect the fuel line at the carburetor. Set up a container to catch the fuel. 2. Crank the engine. Allow the fuel to pump into the container for a specified period, typically 30 seconds. 3. Measure the fuel. Compare the amount of fuel collected to your service manual's specifications. Low volume indicates the pump is not delivering enough fuel. Listen and feel. Sometimes mechanics use simpler methods. Listen for any unusual noises when the engine is running. A clicking or scraping sound might suggest issues. Feel the pump while someone cranks the engine. A properly functioning pump will give a rhythmic pulse. Vacuum test. You can also check the vacuum side of the pump. 1. Disconnect the fuel inlet line. Attach a vacuum gauge to the inlet. 2. Crank the engine. Observe the gauge. 3. Check the vacuum. Again, refer to your service manual for proper vacuum levels. If the pump doesn't create sufficient vacuum, it's likely due for replacement. Performance symptoms. Sometimes your car's behavior tells you there's a problem. Engine sputtering or stalling, especially under acceleration or up hills. Difficulty starting. If your engine is struggling to start, it might not be getting enough fuel. Older vehicles in particular can be finicky, especially if you're like me living in a place with diverse weather like Portland, Oregon. Final thought. Mechanical fuel pump issues are often easier to diagnose with these methods compared to newer electric ones. Make sure your fuel lines, filters, and other components are all in good shape too. If you've confirmed the pump is bad, replacing it isn't typically too difficult and can often be done with basic tools. Keep your vehicle's service manual handy and happy wrenching.